All right, this is the Week 7 press conference with Travis family head football coach Justin Wilcox prior to Cal's trip to number 22 Pitt on Saturday in Pittsburgh. We're going to go ahead and get questions started with Jeff Ferrato from Cal Bears on SI.
Good morning, Justin. I wonder if I can get some availability updates. I presume there's nothing new on Merriweather or Grays. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wondering how Badakani and Littlejohn are doing. And Fernando took a couple of big hits. I'm wondering how he's feeling a couple of days later. And also you alluded to checking into seeing how Jaden Smith was doing since he didn't play a lot late in the game.
Yeah. The receivers, there's no change in their status. Badakani is questionable. Ott probable. Fernando's playing, and Littlejohn questionable.
And are you able to tell us anything about Jaden's status as probable? Did he suffer a setback in that game?
Yeah, there was, he's been battling through some stuff this season, as we all know, and he's, he really wants to be out there and doing his best. And, it's a physical game. It's one of the unfortunate realities of football is things happen from time to time. So he'll get back as soon as he possibly can. I know he's working real hard at it, and we're looking forward to having him back as soon as possible.
He looked pretty good on that long pass reception for the touchdown. I take it something after that caused a setback?
Correct.
And with Fernando, meanwhile, are you concerned about him leaving himself open to some pretty severe hits?
Yeah, we don't want our quarterback taking a lot of hits. There's times that, we got to do a better job protecting. And then there's times on a couple runs or he's got to protect himself. Unfortunately, late in the game on a critical down right there, we got to do whatever we got to do to try and get the first down. But we don't want him taking any more unnecessary hits than he needs to. He's also a guy that, he's not real keen on sliding and going down. That's not really in his mental makeup. So we're working with him on that.
And if I could stay with one more thing, did you guys file any sort of a response to the ACC on the non-call on the targeting play?
We have a protocol that we go through each and every week to turn in plays to the conference. And I also know Jim has been in communication with the ACC.
Did you get a response from them at all or not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm going to discuss that now. It's not something for me to talk about.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Steve Croner with the SF Chronicle.
Justin, good morning. I know you said after the game that, you don't have time to feel sorry for yourself, that by Monday, you've got to start looking at Pitt and put it behind you. And I understand that, and that's certainly the mindset you want to have. But being honest and open, whatever, that loss was not, quote unquote, a typical run-of-the-mill loss that you're easily able to put behind you. I would think you got to kind of run a balance of acknowledging that with your team without becoming immersed in it, if you know what I'm saying. How do you negotiate that balance?
Acknowledge that losses are difficult, and they're all, whenever you suffer a loss, you got to learn something from it. And we learn those lessons. We hit it head on. We look at the tape. We don't bury the tape and not think about it. We look at the tape and look at the things we did well, and then correct the things that we need to do better. And we do that every Monday. And is it an emotional game? Very, very disappointing finish, and we have to learn from it. That's what our job is as coaches and players, and they did a good job of that. And we were back at it yesterday.
Very good.
All right, Jim McGill, Bear Insider.
Justin, can you talk a little bit about that big 77-yard reception late in the fourth quarter to Restrepo? It looked like the linebackers passed him off, and maybe it was a broken play where somebody missed a responsibility covering him. It was hard to tell. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was a busted coverage. Yeah, it was. unfortunate. We didn't have many busts during the game on defense. Didn't mean we always played great, obviously, but that was a busted coverage.
Was that nickel responsibility?
Yeah, the guys on the team made a mistake, and it's unfortunate. We busted the coverage, and then we weren't able to get him down earlier, in the down, and he made a guy or two miss, and then it was a big explosive play. So disappointing, and we have to do a better job as coaches. It was late in the game, and again, like I said, most of the game, it was real clean. Again, didn't mean we played great, but we didn't have a lot of busts, and that was a bust.
And taking a look at the film, is there much that you would have done differently in the fourth quarter? Did it feel like maybe you took your foot off the pedal a little bit early to protect the lead, or do you just feel like it was an execution issue?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by foot off the pedal. Everybody was competing very hard. We as coaches, players knew what type of team they had. We called everything. We were looking at what we're trying to do to put the guys in the best position to be successful. We struggled in the fourth quarter, really in every area, on offense and defense. There's 10 to 12 plays at least on each side, and we just got to make one of them, and we didn't. Whether it's a tackle, pass rush, we really struggled to rush late in the game, and then when we did pressure, we were not covering great. Offensively, trying to get some yards, get a first down. We had there was a tip ball interception that we weren't able to come up with. There's just a number of things, and we didn't make those plays. And so we got to do a better job executing. We will always be critical and looking back on what can we do better? What would we like to have called differently? Anytime there's an unsuccessful play, it's obvious that, if it was unsuccessful, would you call something different? Of course you would. And then there's times, you also have to look at the execution of the play and what are you trying to get out of it? And, you can't double every receiver every time. You can't zero blitz them every time. And we just did not do a good enough job as a team. And that's coaches and players with shared responsibility. We did not do a good enough job late in the game against a very talented group of players. And they came back and won it.
Okay, thanks.
Emmanuel Macedo, Daily Cal.
Good morning, Coach. Tensions were high in the late stages of the game last week. I wanted to ask, what's the message that you're going to give to the team to kind of avoid that situation from happening again?
Yeah, football's an emotional game. You got to learn to channel those emotions. And I think young guys, especially sometimes in that environment, it gets the best of them. So we got to do a better job managing those emotions and channeling them in a way that helps us play winning football.
All right, back to Jeff Ferrato.
Justin, your running backs carried the ball just 15 times for 23 yards against Miami. Obviously not what you want. How concerned are you about the running game production? And besides the fact that Jaden has been banged up, how do you attribute the problems?
Yeah, we obviously want to run the ball better than that. The running game, it was a struggle. We couldn't get much going, kind of our traditional run game. And we got to do a better job there. There's some tough matchups up front. They beat us on some stuff. We've got to find ways to run the ball more effectively. I would say the play count you mentioned, I think at the end of the game, I don't know if it was right around 90 to 50. They ran 90 plays and we ran 50, give or take a play or two. And that's not good. It's very, very difficult to win when the play count is nearly double for the other team. And so we got to find ways to stay on the field. We got to convert third downs. We have to, we had some really good kind of one play hitters, the shots, the 4th and 1, the big play to Tron, the screen game. There was some shots that we hit, and we got to get more out of the normal down and distance offense, and you got to give them credit too. That front is extremely talented. They were very difficult for us to block at times, and we got to, as coaches, help our players find ways to be more successful on those normal down and distance situations.
When you have 4 plays of 50 yards or more, which I think Cal hasn't done in at least a dozen years, should that open up some things with your run game? And do you hope that it has that effect going forward when teams scout you?
I think, you have to look at each of those plays individually and how did we win on that play? Their coverage is where their coverage is. They didn't change a whole lot. They did what they did. I think, Jeff, the biggest challenge was the up front, the D-line, the interior D-line, the edge players, the inside backers. And we were having we got to do a better job running the football just in our traditional run game and, inside zone encounters and pin and pulls and those type of things. And that was a challenge for us in that game. So we got to continue to find ways to help our players be successful in those situations.
Thanks.
All right, Steve Kroger.
And what distinguishes Eli Holstein in particular and Pitt's offense in general?
They're playing really, really well. Obviously, statistically, it jumps out at you, and then you watch them play on tape. I think, they've scored 70, they've scored 50. The lowest they scored, I believe, is 28. And then the other ones were, 30s. And so they're putting up a lot of points. They're throwing the ball all over and they're running the ball for almost a couple hundred yards a game. Just offensively, they're performing at a really high level. He's a very good quarterback. He's statistically, in the top 15 in virtually every category. So he's a very talented football player. He can throw the ball. He's got anticipation, really good. He's accurate. He can move. He can do a lot of things well. They have some very good receivers. The tight end's a good player. The running back is a talented young man. And so very, very efficient, explosive offense. You don't score 70 or 50 on accident. So, yeah.
All right, back to Emmanuel Macedo.
Coach, on Saturday after the game, you talked about running out of gas. What's the plan to kind of keep the team out of those type of situations come Pitt?
Yeah, well, offense, we have to stay on the field more. And then defense, we have to win on another third or fourth down. Like I just told you, 90 plays of snaps on defense. And then the fourth quarter, in the second half, I think they were 4 for 4 or 3 of 3 on fourth downs. And so they kept drives alive. And offensively, we were not good on third downs in the second half. Not good on third downs throughout the day, but in the second half. And so when you're not converting, and then the other team converts 3 fourth downs, I think in that second half, they're going to be on the field more. So you have to get off the field on defense, and you got to stay on the field on offense. And that's how you keep from running out of gas. You got to stay healthy. We losing Ryan McCullough in the game was noticeable. I think everybody, the pass rush, that was a challenge. And so, yeah, all those things matter.
All right, 2 more questions. We'll go to Jeff first. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, Ryan McCullough, what is his status?
Questionable. We'll see where he's at later this week.
And can you talk a little bit about the play you're getting from Nate Burell? We're going to be talking to him later, and it seemed like he had a mostly productive game the other night. Yeah,
Nate's gotten better and better since he's been here. He's a good young man. Really enjoy having him on the team. He's come a long way. I think he checked in his freshman year when he got here. He's like 240 pounds or something, and he started maybe the third game of his freshman year, whatever game that was. We went maybe second game at Notre Dame as a 17-year-old, I think, at the time. And he's grown up a lot since he's been here, gotten better and better. He can do some good things, and we really need Nate to continue to grow as a player. But really, really glad he's on the team.
Okay, thanks.
And last question for Jim McGill.
I forgot to ask about Miles Williams' health status.
BMW?
No.
Big Miles?
Safety.
Oh, Miles, fine. He'll play this week.
Okay. And do you have a sense yet, early practice this week, how the team has regrouped from a real disappointing loss that you feel like you might have been able to have? Sometimes teams can get down and it's hard to shake it off. Do you feel like the team's resilient enough to play their best ball on Saturday, or is it still kind of TBD throughout the rest of the week of practice?
I feel like they're a very resilient group. We've had a couple very, very disappointing and difficult losses. And, that's frustrating and it's painful. I mean, it's a kick in the gut when you don't win those games that you feel like you're capable of winning. But there's no other way. There's not a lot of options. I mean, you have to get back at it. We don't have time, the luxury of having a week or 2 weeks to feel down and out. I mean, you got to learn your lessons, take your medicine, and push forward. And they've done a good job of that. They're a strong-minded group. I believe in them. I know we can win those games. They know that we can win those games. It's disappointing that we didn't. And now we got an unbelievable opportunity against a top 25 team on the road who's undefeated in a conference game. So there's a lot to play for. There's a ton of motivation there. We have a prideful group, and I'm looking forward to finishing this week of practice and having the chance to go compete again. And I know our players are too.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, everyone. We'll be back in about 10 minutes with defensive coordinator, inside linebacker Coach Peterson.
The one thing I do want to say is I really want to acknowledge the fans and the students who were unbelievable the entire day last Saturday. I mean, that experience with the students, our alumni, and our fans, and our administration, Jim Knowlton and his staff, who set all that up the entire day. That experience for Cal football was amazing. Obviously, it's disappointing that we were not able to finish the game off that we wanted to give them, but really want to say thank you to all those folks, the fans, the students, and our administration for doing what they did to create an unbelievable environment. So thank you.
Thanks, Coach.